is Afrizal Gilang Ramadhan. You can call me Afrizal, and I'm from TPIA, and I would like to explain about Communicative Language Teaching, or CLT. The definition: Communicative language teaching is an approach to the teaching of second and foreign language that emphasizes interaction as both the means and the ultimate goal of learning a language. It is also referred to as communicative approach to the teaching of foreign language, or simply the communicative approach. From Wikipedia. Its origins are many, insofar as one teaching methodology tends to influence the next. The communicative approach could be said to be product of educators and linguists who had grown dissatisfied with the audilingual and grammar translation. This method aims at developing procedures for the teaching of the four skills that acknowledge the interdependence of language and communication. It aims at having students become communicatively competent. A set of principles about teaching, including recommendations about method and syllabus, are focused in a meaningful communication and structure. Use not usage. In this approach, students are given tasks to accomplish using language instead of studying the language. Basic concept of CLT, or Communicative Language Teaching. Number one is approach. An approach refers to theories about the nature of language and language learning that serve as the result of practice and principle of language teaching. Number two is design. This specific the relationship of theories of language and learning to the selection and organization of language, content syllabus, to the types of tasks and learning activities, and the role of the learners, teacher, and materials. Number three is procedure. Comprises the classroom techniques and practice that are consequences of particular approach and design. CLT at the level of approach or theory. The nature of language is the nature of learning a language. Activities that involve real communication promote learning. Activities in which language is used for carrying out meaningful communication promote learning. Language that is meaningful to the learner supports the learning process. The goal of language teaching, or communicative competence. Number one is knowledge of the grammar, vocabulary, phonology, and semantics of the language. Number two, knowledge of the relationship between the language and its non-linguistic or social context. Knowledge of how to begin and end conversation. And last, knowledge of strategies that compensate other weak areas. CLT at the level of design. Teacher's role. The teacher has to assume that the role of facilitator or monitor, rather than simply being the model for correct speech, and the one with the primary responsibility of making students produce plenty of error-free sentences. The teacher has to develop a different view of student errors and his or her own role in facilitating language learning. Learners' roles. In the CLT, learners have to participate in classroom activities that are based on a cooperative rather than in an individualistic approach. Students have to become comfortable with listening to their peers in prior of group work tests, rather than relying on the teacher for a model. The syllabus focus on grammar-based, skill-based, listening, speaking, writing, function-based or creating, introducing, telling stories, and in the last, test-based, discover the difference, solve the problems. In general, most courses would advocate the CLT approach create more electric syllable, in which they consider the different aspect of learning a language. At the level of procedure, there are seven types, include accuracy and fluency, mechanical, meaningful, and communicative practice, information gaps, information gathering, role plays, and opinion sharing. I think that is my explanation about communicative language teaching. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.